What's going on, Wiz Nation? Welcome to another episode of State of the Wizards. This is episode 30. I'm your host, Decan, along with my co-host, K Jose. K Jose, what's going on?
And nothing much, my brother. How you feeling this evening?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Today we'll discuss the Wizards loss to the Bulls,
Okay.
what to check for against Indiana, and how did
hmm
Wiz fans feel about Bankroll's comments on the No Chill podcast with Gilbert Arenas? You ready to talk
Right.
about that?
Oh, absolutely. Let's definitely get it.
All right, so great. So before we get started, if this is your first time tuning into the channel, thank you. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me at Wizards Mafia and follow my main man, K Jose, at DC Hoopla on Twitter. Also, please follow us at State of the Wizards on Instagram and State of the Wizards on Twitter. Be on the lookout also for that brand new State of the Wizards, DC Hoopla, Wiz Takes merch. It's on the way.
Yes, sir. Yes,
It's
sir.
on the
This
way.
is the old merch. The old merch. Look for the new merch.
Yes, sir. We got hats, we got jackets. We're gonna have everything for you guys. And so far, K Jose, it looks like a couple of folks are already hitting the line and hitting the DMs, man. They like what they see so far.
Oh, that's always a positive, man. Hey, we're gonna have plenty of merch coming for them in the future. So keep hitting them DMs.
Absolutely, man. So let's get started. First question for you, K Jose. The Wizards lost to the Chicago Bulls last night, 115-111. No
hmm
bankroll. All five starters were in double digit scoring.
Right.
Everyone shot the ball pretty well. KP had 28 and 9. Kuz had 21 points. But the bench didn't really give us much, and we missed 9 free throws and shot 29% from three. What was the biggest takeaway from that loss last night, and what should they avoid tomorrow night against the Pacers?
Well, well, it's a couple of takeaways. One is the missing of the free throws. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that. We've been missing free throws these last several games, and three-point shooting. Three-point shooting has just been horrible. Within the last 10 games, as a team, we're shooting like 31% from downtown. It's been terrible. So we need to shoot less three pointers. Last night we as a team we shot 29%. The night before that against the Lakers, we shot 25%. I mean, it's just it's not working. Will Barton is proven the reason why I was not so high on him when we traded for him. Um, Another thing too I noticed is that the Chicago Bulls big two, they came in the clutch. They delivered in the clutch. Zach LaVine pretty much had a quiet game, but when it was time for him to help will the team to a win, he showed up. And
Yeah,
that's all you can ask for if you're a Bulls fan, that you got your guys, DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, willing their
yeah,
team to a win. It was a sloppy game between both teams. They were turning the ball over like crazy. So you had two mid-level teams. It seemed like both teams was trying to give the game away, but it was Chicago that actually closed it out.
yeah, absolutely. What I noticed about that game for sure was that we were just shooting so terrible from three. Porzingis has been terrible from three. Yeah, I think he shot 0 for 6 last
hmm
night from three.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I think that you know, even with him taking those shots, I think that we do too much settling, and he falls in love
Yeah.
with it just like the rest of the team. So I can't even really
Yes.
blame him because that's a part of our DNA to take those shots. It's unfortunate because settling for those shots, you're bailing out the opposing team. You're bailing out Chicago. You're giving them that
hmm
extra. You're giving them those extra. Those shots are just as bad as a turnover, in my opinion. You're giving them those extra possessions, to capitalize off of. But last night's game, in my opinion, was a winnable game. You saw,
Hmm.
you saw, like you just said, you saw DeRozan, you saw Zach LaVine come in, and they came through, when they needed them to.
Right.
Vucevic was also a big compliment to what they were doing. So they have a big three over there. And
Right.
as I was looking at what they've contributed, three of those guys together put up 77 points. They put up
Yeah.
77 points, and somehow we still only beat this team by 4 points. But they were a huge chunk of the offense.
Hmm.
Vucevic Vucevic was 10 for 16. Zach LaVine was 8 for 19. You got DeRozan 11 for 21. I mean, that was their
Hmm.
team. I don't know what the strategy
Yeah.
was. I don't know what the strategy was, but I want to say that it was to keep them off the line and keep them off keep them from getting hot from three. Uh DeRozan only shot 1 3. Zach LaVine was 5 for 9, and Vucevic was 3 for 5. A lot of those threes came late in the fourth quarter. When I don't
Yeah.
know if you remember, it was that back and forth. They got hot, we got hot. They were matching our threes. We were hitting
Yep.
threes, matching our threes. If that was the game plan, we did well all the way up until that point. And we just didn't close out very well. And I think that was the
Yeah.
problem.
If you think about it, well, if you think about it, when you talk about that sequence when it was more of a back and forth, it was a shootout in that fourth quarter. That's what it was. But that's very Eddie Jordan like. I remember the Eddie Jordan years. We would have those shootouts where we would try to outshoot our opponent. And
Yeah,
usually, when you're going with that strategy, one team is going to eventually start missing, and it just so happened to be us. Um,
right.
yeah, I mean, another thing too about that big three yesterday is DeMar DeRozan 5 for 6 from the line, Vujovic 2 for 3 from the line, Zach LaVine 4 for 4 from the line. I mean, when they're hitting the free throws, that also contributes to winning. Again, like I said, yesterday's game, it was a very, very sloppy game because it was a lot of turnovers between both teams. Um, you the Bulls actually won the assist match. They had 29 to our 22. So what really hurt us was the fact that we went 20 for 29 from the free throw line and we went 9 for 31 from the 3-point range. Don't
That
know
that
why we're
was
shooting 31 3-pointers when we're terrible at it.
well, that was the story of the game. But one thing I definitely want to make sure I point out in this segment is that Denny played absolute great defense all
Hmm.
game. Yes, these guys put up points, but that's what these guys are paid to do. Down the stretch, under 2 minutes, or actually under 2 minutes, when DeRozan had the ball, 1-on-1, man to man, no help. Denny was right in front of him.
Hmm.
KP comes in, swipes at the ball, foul call. So it kind of killed our defensive momentum.
Yeah.
Very next possession, I want to say DeRozan comes down again, ISO on Denny. He puts up a shot. Denny puts his hands up and he misses the shot. Guess what
Hmm.
happens? We can't get the rebound. All right. Then
Right.
on their very next possession, Zach LaVine comes down. 1-on-1, man to man. Who's there? Denny. He stops Zach LaVine from scoring. And what
Yep.
happens? We can't get the rebound. So, you know, a lot of people don't credit Denny enough for his defense. Last night, he did a great
Hmm.
job guarding DeMar DeRozan down the stretch and Zach LaVine, in the clutch. I think he deserves some credit.
Oh, absolutely. I think when he was guarding DeMar DeRozan, I think he went like shot 3 for 7 when Denny was guarding him, something along that. Denny had 10 points, five boards, 6 assists, 4 steals, four
Yep.
for eight from the free throw. I mean, 4 for 8 from the field, 2 for 3 from down. I mean, from the free throw line. He only, like you said, he took one 3-point attempt, didn't make it, but he had a solid game. And before that game started, on Wizards Twitter, we saw people talking about, well, we need to include him in the package. Denny doesn't do this. Denny doesn't do that. And he has a solid game. It's like this love-hate relationship with Denny. We keep seeing people talk about, well, people say he was Luka. He's this, he's that. At the end of the day, Denny is one of our better defenders, and he's become the scapegoat of this season. And it's just very frustrating that fans just don't appreciate him and they want to trash him, but then they want to fall in love with him when he has a solid game. It's just a love-hate relationship that seems like Wizards fans have for Denny.
Well, it's really annoying because first of all, he's young. So you're not going to get what you expect out of a young
Hmm.
player. You're just not. I mean,
Right.
the expectations of a 21-year-old, I just don't get, the slander for a 21-year-old. Like,
Hmm.
what's the point of that? There's a lot of young guys that are going to go through growing pains. Even young guys who are showing promise right now and who are doing pretty much unexpected things in their first two seasons. What tends to happen sometimes to those young guys that come out the gate running fast? Do they always play at a high level like that?
No.
Especially in this modern day NBA? No, they don't. So I'm expecting Denny to improve. I'm
Yeah.
expecting I'm expecting him to work on his craft. And you saw the reports about West talking to him and trying to build up his confidence and everything like that. That showed in this game. He was aggressive. He was going to the basket. He was making the right reads, the right play, getting in the passing lanes. And he's just playing great defense. I mean, man, look, I have no complaints at all when he's being aggressive. That's the Denny that I want.
Right.
You can't criticize that, Denny. You can't go ahead and try to trade him, but best believe whoever gets him, if you pull that off, that's the Denny that they're gonna use. That's the Denny that they're gonna get. You know, it's just how we utilize him. It's how we see him. And I just think that, it's all about putting him in the right position and right roles and building that confidence up so we can see that Denny.
Yeah, I agree. Like the people said from Israel or from his camp, we're not utilizing it properly. We're sticking him in the corner and we're expecting him to hit 3-point shots, and that's not his game. He's a point forward. We need to treat him as such. But he doesn't have a long leash like a guy like Will Barton or Monte Morris have, any veteran. He doesn't have a long leash like those guys. So again, he's the scapegoat this season because you don't have a Dinwiddie to blame. You don't have Montrezl Harrell. You don't have Wall to blame. So you go to the young guys and you blame them.
Yeah, I just I don't really get it. I don't. I'll be honest with you.
Hmm.
I don't get the Denny. I don't get the Denny slander. But we're gonna move on here. Um, Basically, before we move on, what's your take for tomorrow night's game against Indiana? What do you think the Wizards need to avoid? Um, what do you think we need to avoid doing to win that game tomorrow night?
Falling in love with the 3-point shot. We also have to not. We have to not settle. Indiana's been playing pretty good basketball. If memory serves correct, I did say that they probably would play a little bit better this season than the previous season. They got themselves a nice little squad there. Um, I think we need to hit our free throws. Like I said, avoid settling for the 3-point shot. If we take a few 3-point shots and we realize that, hey, it's not falling, we need to revert to something else. I think we definitely need to feed Porzingis, run the plays through him, make him be the number one option, get everybody involved. I mean, we play a better brand of basketball when bankroll is not there, but
Uh-huh.
um, what we definitely need to do is just make sure that everybody's involved. And the main thing is, I can't stress it enough. just don't settle for the 3-point shot. If it's not falling, try something else.
Yeah, I think Indiana is going to exploit our defense. They just have guys that can put the ball in the basket. We know about Hallie already. You got big guys right
Mm-hmm.
now over there. Buddy Hield's been pretty consistent this season. I'm not sure if Miles Turner's playing or not, but bottom line is they put up points. They're top 10 in the league in points. They like to put up as many shots a game, so I'm expecting a high scoring game.
Yeah.
And surprisingly though, I guess without Miles Turner, they're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. So maybe, just maybe, if we're playing that big lineup of Gafford and KP tomorrow night, you know, we will indeed take advantage of the rebound game. Hopefully we win that battle.
Right.
Um, Indiana is they hit their threes, so we have to guard the
Yeah.
perimeter tomorrow night. They hit their threes. That's simple. They're one of they're not they're not they're not a crazy up and down team, but they definitely like to get out and run. So
Oh
we're
yeah.
definitely gonna have to yeah, we're definitely gonna have to keep up with the pace, literally with the pace, with the Pacers. So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah, you're right.
that's basically how I see it going tomorrow night. Now let's move on. Bankroll Bill was recently in the media. K Jose on a podcast with Gilbert Arenas. Let's listen to his
Mm-hmm.
statements and let's see what he had to say in that particular podcast. Let me pull it up here for the fans.
Everybody's here for a reason, so I want to talk to you a little bit about that. You re-up with the Wizards on a 5-year contract this offseason. You even added a no-trade clause to the contract, which I thought was very interesting. So I just want to know, why was it important for you to not run from the grind and stay here with the Wizards and really try to, get this franchise to where you believe it can be?
One, not everybody gives you, I won't say control, but not everybody gives you a voice in the organization. I have a voice here, right? I never had a chance to fully play a year with KP. That enticed me. He's probably the best big I played with.
Okay.
I like Kuz's ability to be able to spread his wings a little bit more, develop into the player that we think he can be. And then I think I like the young core that we were developing. Like Rui is really good, had an awesome summer. Denny's just going to continue to get better. And then Corey's a knockdown shooter who's a pro's pro. We still need to get better. I'm not sitting there saying, oh, we're going to hold up to Larry. We're going to beat Milwaukee tomorrow. No, but to have the pieces we have enough to know that we can compete on a nightly basis with no BS, right? We know that we got a job. Everybody's able to be a star in their role, and we go do that. On the flip side of it, the business side of it, there were no teams in the market.
Oh, wow.
Just free agency wise. I'm just being frank, right? There was nowhere else for me to go, right? Where I can I can go win. Right? It had been those teams that strategically wasn't what I wanted, right? So it just
Look at Gilbert's face right there, bro. Gilbert's face is hilarious, man.
realistically, I won't say my hand was forced, but this was my best decision, best option on the table at the time. So
When you say that, we see.
Wow. Wow.
Oh Lord.
So for
Let
those
me.
yeah. So for those who have not caught that, that was again No Chill with Gilbert Arenas. Podcast. Gilbert Arenas and Bradley Bill talk Washington Wizards then and now. You can catch the full podcast on YouTube. K Jose, man, what in the world was that?
Bruh, Gilbert's face it tells it all. It's either two things: either Bradley Bill's breath stink or he smells bullshit. And I'm going with number two. He smells bullshit. Um, he says first of all he used the word control, then he changed it and said he has a voice here. So he cleaned that up. He
Yeah.
tried to anyway, but you meant what you said the first go round. Then he said, I think I like the young core.
Yeah.
He said, I think I like the young core. So then this is the part where everybody says it was taken out of context. He said that there was no other team in the market that he felt that he could win. Translation, there was no other team in the market that could pay him the 251 because any other team in the market could have paid him no more than 199 and he didn't want that.
Right.
So
And there was no
people,
proof anywhere. There was no proof anywhere that someone was willing to offer him over $200 million.
no, there's no proof,
No
none
reports.
whatsoever.
Yeah, no reports. Yeah.
None. I mean, I think you and I, we think about it. We kept having a conversation during the offseason before he signed the 251 that he could opt in the last year of his deal and then sign that 199 with said team. And I think that would have brought him around 246, somewhere around that range. But there was no team that was even willing to do that. So that's the reason why he opted out. He just said it. So for those who saying it was taken out of context, no, he meant it exactly how the way he said it again. He said in the beginning, he used the word control and then he tried to clean it up and said he has a voice here. We know what that means. That means, the team he has input, say so.
Say so. Yeah,
He
say
has
so.
say so. He's been having
Right.
say so for a long time. It's no secret. He has say so in the team even when Wall was still here.
Yeah.
And the fact that he said, I think I like the young core. Come on, man. Come on. It's
Well,
hilarious.
yeah, I mean, well, my thing is he's vouched for this entire roster.
Yeah,
So when he says that he has a voice, what that tells me is that you're just as responsible for this roster as Tommy Shepard and Ted Leonsis. You,
exactly.
you assisted in Russell Westbrook coming here. You said that you wanted Russ here in the Wall trade. When he wanted out, you told the organization you wanted Spencer Dinwiddie. Okay. When Spencer Dinwiddie didn't work, and last season at the trade deadline, your own words, you said you wanted Sabonis.
Yep.
Tommy Shepard comes back with KP. You learn after surgery that we have KP. So you just said in this interview that KP, he enticed you. You wanted to play with KP. And you like Kuz, and you think you like the young guys and Rui, Denny. You see that these guys are here and they're improving. This was enough for you. This is why this is your words. But then you say, I'm not gonna say my hands was forced, but they kind of were. What does that mean? That's total contradiction
Absolutely.
because you went from I'm helping build this team up to now my hands are forced.
Come on, man. Ain't nobody
So
forced him to sign that
no one
contract.
forced you. No one forced you to sign your contract. Come on, Bankroll. If you watching this, brother, come on, man. We can smell bullshit, man. Come on.
Just
Like
look at Gilbert's face right there, bro. Look at it.
I that's why I paused it there because
Even even Josiah Johnson, look at his face. He even got that look on his face, like, man, Ninja, please.
and what kills me, man, is like so many people are like, why are you blaming the organization, for giving, Bankroll his money for giving him that contract? The Wizards weren't competing against anybody.
Nope.
There was he just told you. He told you that there was no other teams in the market.
Mm-hmm.
There was no other teams in the market. So sure, we blamed the Wizards, absolutely, because the Wizards weren't competing against nobody but themselves. But to me, Bankroll played along the way.
Of course.
Wizards have to show me, hey, teams could offer me this, teams could offer me that. He played his cards the right way. He built his value up. a value
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't even an imaginary $200 million value.
Yep.
Imaginary, because other teams, there was no other teams reported that was going to offer him over $200 million. They said that what he could get from other teams was 183, 199, but you
Mm-hmm.
never heard over 200 million. You never
Exactly.
heard that. So throughout the season, last season, you started seeing reports about what bankroll could get elsewhere. Where, well, if he, if he signed a deal, and he got, he can get his trade kicker and he signs a deal elsewhere, he can get up to this amount with another team, right? Isn't that what was said?
Yep.
He can get up to 200 and something with another team. Well, these were all narratives that helped him build his value. So therefore, it didn't force your hands, it forced the Wizards' hands to have to be able to live up to the expectations that you created and the value that you created. You created that value for yourself. Okay, so yeah, the market is what it is, but the Wizards literally was competing against themselves, and you played a part in that. You played a part in
Of
that.
course.
I'm not gonna let
Of
nobody
course.
tell me that bankroll isn't also to blame because he played a part in it. And
Yeah.
he knew that the Wizards were the only team that was going to offer him over $200 million. He knew that.
Well, let's not forget the fact that on the deadline, he was supposed to be a 76er. Remember that. He was supposed to be a 76er. There's been a couple of reports where he was supposed to be in Philly, but his injuries were preventing him being in Philly. And Ted Leonsis told him, the only way you're going to get that 251 is if you get season-ending surgery right now.
Exactly.
He
Exactly.
went
You
ahead
got
and
to throw
got
these facts. You got to throw these facts in there, man.
but the problem is when we try to throw those facts to those people, it went unnoticed. Nobody didn't want to listen to that. And if you tell them to them, if you tell them now, they're going to say this, oh, well, that's a narrative. There's no proof of that. Man, I provided the proof months ago. You just
You
didn't want to
did.
listen.
You did. There was a podcast that they had touched on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a story behind that. When that podcast, where did that podcast come out of? Philly?
No, actually, that podcast was local. It was Kevin Sheehan who's on 980. He talked
Oh,
to somebody from Philly that told him that.
that's right. That's right. That's right. So just to reiterate, and just to throw that out there for the fans who did not know, Bankroll Bill was on his way out. He was on his way to Philly. And you know, Ted Leonsis, right? What did Ted say? K Jose?
Told him. He told him the only way you're gonna get. He said the only way you're gonna get this 251 is if you get season-ending surgery. If you don't get it, we're trading you this offseason. Bankroll was stuck right then and there. He had no choice because he knew, because Ted pretty much probably was telling him, nobody's going to pay you what we're going to pay you. So with the Wizards organization, just to reiterate what you just said, what they did, they went to an empty auction, and Tommy Shepard was standing up there, give me 251, give me 251, sold to Ted Leonsis. There was nobody at that auction. They outbidded themselves. And they're getting ready to do it again with Kyle Kuzma and KP.
And we can talk about that, but I don't want to dive too deep. I'm looking at these comments. Bradley Bill's a real one. Maximizes talent and his opportunity. Going to be the new Wes Unseld for the Wizards.
So,
um,
West still got a championship, but continue.
Bill game fits so well in the playoffs. Hopefully he can make it. What he said about free agency was consistent with what he told JJ Redick in the summer. He's honest about the situation he's in and happy with it. The last thing I heard there was honesty. I just heard a bunch of capping. And the only reason why I say that is because he said that his hands was forced. I know for a fact that your hands wasn't forced, bro. Like it's to me, you know, okay, let's put it this way. You were it's so obvious that you wanted to leave, right? It's so obvious you wanted to leave. But the only reason why you stayed here was because of the money.
Yeah.
For those people who are out there saying that it's loyalty and all of that. This interview, proves that wrong. You can't sit there and say that it's about loyalty, but then he says, let's be honest, let's be frank, there were no other teams on the market. You know, so when he's saying that, you got to throw the loyalty argument out the window.
Mm-hmm.
Just that simple.
Yeah, it's. I mean, he's not loyal. He's only loyal to the bag. He's always been loyal to the bag. That's why he's bankroll. That's what we call him, bankroll Bill. Bankroll. Happy
So
that he got his money. Just mad that it was my team that gave it to him.
so and that's the thing. We got about 4 minutes here. You know, that's the thing. And I here's my thing. You know, if he would just, I don't know if it's that he just wants to, obviously he just wants to get paid, right? But how do you tell the fan base really that it's more about the money than it is about winning? I don't think he'll ever come out and say that. But my thing is like, there has to be some type of honesty in that regard somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you get that message across to people without people judging you? You know, and I just don't know. You know, if winning is the primary thing on Bankroll Bill's mind. I mean, you tell me, K Jose.
No, I mean, yeah, it's winning is on his mind. He's winning every time he checks his bank statement. So, I mean, let's just keep it a buck. No pun intended, but it's the truth. He's not concerned about winning. What happened to the championship conversation? That's gone out the window. It's no more, I want to bring a championship to DC. He never really said it, but it's no more that I want to do it here. You know, again, there was a report coming out from Chris Haynes that the Lakers are monitoring bankroll. So where there's smoke, there's fire. We're in the month of December. He's eligible to be traded January 15th. That's right around the corner. Some people, I think it was a report that came out that is speculating that he may ask out this summer. Maybe. But with that no trade clause, he has to be the one to ask out. And what kind of return are we going to get for bankroll? We passed on that opportunity by refusing to trade him this past offseason, the previous offseason, the previous offseason. So now we're going to have to probably take somebody else's trash for him. This is what happens when you overpay for a player because you just feel you're afraid. Here's another thing, and now we can end this. Remember last season, we were told, well, you have to pay bankroll because if you don't pay him, then the attendance is going to go down. Decan, we're dead last in attendance right now with a re-signed bankroll. So what does that mean to my dude? That means that argument last year didn't age well because we're dead last with this guy.
Yeah.
Why did we sign him? Just because we didn't want to let him go. Come on, man. Are we really trying to win, or are we just trying to make people feel good and it's all about just making sure that, we appreciate these players? How are we going to appreciate a veteran who's been here for as long as he has, but we're so quick to get rid of the young guys? It's going to cost so much cheaper. I never understand that.
Yeah, and I'll wrap this up. Basically, at the end of the day, bankroll does nothing for, the fan base. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I think he's worn out his welcome. It's just that simple. He's worn out his welcome. Great guy off the court. Great for what he's done for the community. He's had great years here, but it's definitely that time where, this whole build around him idea has grown tired, and it's time for us to move in a different direction, in my opinion. And I'm sure you feel the same way, and a lot of other Wizards fans feel the same way. We advocate for the young guys. That's what we want because we want a younger team. Bankroll doesn't fit that. He's getting older, and he's never going to live up to the current contract that he has now. So to me, this is just a big waste of time. So with that said, that wraps up this first part of State of the Wizards. Be sure to stay tuned. Tune into the second part. Once again, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you on part 2. Out of here.